All right, we have this here from Kevin at Fallen Angels TV. He wants to know, do you think Satan is still trying to manipulate the human DNA through abductions in the UFOs?
Absolutely, yes.
And this is a question, Zen, that we've asked numbers of times. If you watch the show, that why is it that they can't create their own DNA, manipulate the DNA? How many? It's kind of like our space program. How many times we got to send the shuttle up? Nobody knows why it's going up there. How many times you got to send it up there? All they do is float around space. Nobody knows why. But why is it that the UFO abductions, they haven't got it yet? Are they mad scientists? They're Igor freaking Frankenstein scientists just can't seem to get the right DNA?
Well, they're doing all kinds of experiments, and they're always checking their experiments too. So they have to continually abduct so that they can check how the progression is going in whatever it is that they're trying to do. I don't know exactly what the genetics are, but they're definitely checking it out.
They're not trying to combine human DNA with a cow's DNA, some kind of sick bestiality-looking DNA strand, are they?
I think they're doing all kinds of things that are the grossest, most evil intent.
Basically, they're sick, is what you're saying. All right, here's a question.
Absolutely.
Here's a question from Pierre in the live chat. What is your opinion of Freemasons? Are they Luciferians?
Yes.
You mean the friendly Mason with the funny hat that goes in parades? Are you really saying they're like the evil of all evil?
They're part of the organization. They don't realize what the leadership is doing. They're, like the feet that don't understand what the head is thinking and what the head is deciding for the rest of the body. They just walk. They just march. They just dance to whatever tune it is that the Illuminati elitists at the top, the true Luciferians, the ones that use all the money that the Masons are gathering on the sides of the streets out with their little boots. They're using that for evil, and people have no idea.
Yeah, and they're probably Catholic priests too, some of them. All right, here's a question.
Absolutely.
Here's a great question. This is from Gator, my bud Gator in there in the live chat. It says, who were the people that Cain was afraid of? He was afraid they were going to kill him after he was tossed out of the garden. He knew, and there's all kinds of questions there, but basically, who were those people he was afraid of?
I don't know, because the people of the Lord, they weren't murderers. So maybe he was thinking about the fallen angels themselves, because they were already here and they were already running wild, and the reptilian presence also was already here and had been here for a lot longer than we have.
Okay. So Cain's in the garden. How did he even know there was somebody out there? Were there's a group of freaks coming out? Were there a bunch of people coming to the garden and trying to get in? How did he even know there was people out there?
Well, in the first book of Adam and Eve, even before Cain was conceived, Adam and Eve are tormented by the demons and the devils that are here, and they make it known that this is their world, and that because they had fallen, they were going to make their lives literally hell. And they promised in that book to wage war against the seed of humanity. That's where it goes back to Genesis 3:15, the enmity between the bloodlines. That was the beginning of the war.
Okay, well, how many people were outside the garden? Were there whole cities, whole countries of people?
There were
demons,
cities and countries even before humanity fell into the flesh. There was a whole age before this one that was destroyed. If you read Jeremiah chapter 4, it talks about a time low when there was no man, but it tells you about all the cities that were destroyed. Those were the cities of the fallen angels. They had prior civilizations to the creation of man.
So then God created a garden in the midst of all these nasty cities and civilizations.
Well, the garden was the earth, but that wasn't where we were. We were in paradise before we fell. That was where Lucifer seduced Eve and Adam. And there's a whole chapter dedicated to this in my book. But And then we were condemned. Once we were going to enter into the flesh, and that was the beginning of the second world age, that's when life on this planet, in the presence of all these devils and demons, began.
Wow, man, this seems
that's
like
when we were going to know good and evil.
Seemed like
the knowledge of good and evil.
Seemed like there was a lot of nasty people that were flying around here. Okay, so the Gator said that she kind of, or he or she kind of lost you there. Let me see if you can help me out a little bit. You said something about we were in paradise, and I don't know who we were. Is that me? Is that you?
Adam and Eve?
Okay, Adam and Eve was in paradise, which is not the Garden of Eden, or it is?
No, it isn't.
Oh, it is not?
No, it isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. There you go. So it's not okay. I don't know. Well, I'm talking about the Garden of Eden. Okay, did they go from paradise to the Garden of Eden?
Yes, when they were banished
from the kingdom.
I don't know how they got here. All I know is that their bodies were transformed on the 8th day, and then they entered into bodies of flesh. And then they began life in a place called the Cave of Treasures, which was in the Garden of Eden, which is this planet, the Earth.
Okay. And I see a couple questions that basically saying the same thing. Did Cain go to an inner Earth and set up a reptilian world?
I don't know where Cain went. I would think that he would have gone to the place of condemnation. And it says, in several instances and references throughout mythology and scripture that is in a place called Tartarus and Sheol.
Yeah.
That Tartarus is the place for the fallen angels, and that Sheol is the place of the condemned human soul.
By the way, a couple questions that you really didn't have the answers for. You said we may not know until, say, like the next life. What you might want to do is see if you can get the. Let's see, how do you say? You could be granted that information. You might want to kind of write those questions down, and because then you could be the man. You know what I'm saying? Getting that information before we go to the sweet by and by. You might be able to bring it down here. So it said here, where is Eden at? Where was the Garden of Eden at, Zen?
That's in the middle over there in Iraq. That was the cradle, but that was after the flood and after Adam and Eve were created. But there was a whole civilization prior to that, and where their Eden was. I consider Eden just as this planet, because what happened was on the third day when Adam and Eve were banished from paradise, they were placed on the Garden of Eden, and that was here on this planet. That's when modern man began life in the flesh.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Question from Peter in Australia. What do you think about the Hebrew Roots movement?
I don't really know too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Really
I don't know that a movement is. I'm not sure what that movement is either on there. Question from Pierre in the live chat. How many years ago did Adam and Eve exist? Was it 6,000 or 6 million?
No, I think that modern humanity, there's a 7,000-year timeline for the second world age. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, maybe 6,000, I don't know, somewhere around there.
Don't you find it ironic? Go ahead.
If you read the Gospel of Nicodemus, it gives a timeline for humanity through Yahushua, because when Adam and Eve were banished from paradise, they were told that 5,500 years after they were kicked out of paradise, that the Lord would come into the flesh and assume the flesh, die on the cross, and bring salvation to them, and that once he died on the cross, he would then descend into hell and then free all the souls of humanity that were stored in Sheol. Before then, nobody went to paradise. It was after the Lord came that he took everybody back to paradise.
So you suggest that the Garden of Eden was in Iraq. Now, Iraq is pretty much a nasty hellhole full of camel dung. So, maybe that's why the oil's there. You think that the oil is under those desert dwellers because at some point there was a rich fauna of the vast Garden of Eden?
Well, the thing with the oil, and I don't know, I just get a gut feeling on this, is that once, and this is my opinion, I don't have any proof on this, is that after the global deluge, when there were piles of bodies together, the cattle and all the different creatures of the earth, they were all together and they descended in the interior of the earth, and then everything built up on top, that perhaps the oil is actually the decay of all those beings.